This case takes place in the United States of America on the 17th of August 2019. Zaria Burgess was a 15-year-old girl who lived in Union County, North Carolina. She was born on the 3rd of December 2003 to her mother Akeisha Pope and her father Joshua Burgess. Akeisha and Joshua had Zaria in their mid-teens, around the ages of 16 and 17. Their relationship didn't last long after Zaria was born. They broke up and went their separate ways. Akeisha was given sole custody of Zaria due to Joshua having a criminal record, but Joshua would have Zaria visit on the weekends. From the outside looking in, Joshua seemed like a loving father. He would often take to social media and create multiple posts about how much he adored his daughter. He would always describe her as a miniature version of himself, and in one post he wrote, "I love this angel more than anything." Zaria attended Monroe High School and was soon to enter her sophomore year. She was in the marching band, and her friends described her as bubbly and bright, and someone who kept her teammates laughing. She did very well in her studies, and by all accounts had a promising future ahead of her. Joshua was a trucker, and he changed companies later into his career so he would be able to see Zaria more often. However, the happy pictures Joshua would share were not the reality of the situation. On the 17th of August 2019, Zaria got ready to spend the weekend with her father. Joshua arrived at the home where Zaria lived and picked her up in his truck. The two then drove to Joshua's house. Once arriving there, they pulled up and entered the home. The exact details of what happened after this point remain somewhat unclear. The following morning, Joshua left his house and he walked into the Union County Sheriff's Office at around 9:24 a.m. It's in this station that he made a horrific confession. He walked towards an officer who was sitting behind a desk and a computer and told them that he wished to turn himself in for a crime that he had committed. The officer then asked for Joshua's name so they would be able to type it into the system. But Joshua stopped the officer and told them that his name would not be in the system and that the crime he had committed had just occurred. He then said, "I've just killed someone." Upon hearing these words, the officer got the attention of other officers who were present at the station, and Joshua was taken into a room to be questioned. He was booked in where this haunting photograph of him was taken. He told officers that he had just killed his own daughter. He gave Zaria's name, her age, and where they could find her in his house. A number of officers were dispatched to the location to see if Joshua was telling the truth. They entered the home where they immediately found Zaria in a pool of blood. She had been bound and was left right behind the front door. Zaria was wearing no clothing, and it was apparent to the officers that her throat had been slashed and she had cuts all over her body. Joshua was immediately arrested and began to give information about the brutal crime. And according to some reports, he was totally calm and showed no emotion while he told the officers about the murder. News about Zaria's death spread quickly. The Union County Sheriff, Tony Underwood, said, "It's just evil. I mean, murder is murder, but to kill your own flesh and blood like this, there's just no other way to explain it other than evil." An autopsy was conducted on Zaria's body, where it was found that she had suffered extreme psychological and physical torture for over 22 hours. Joshua had attacked her and tied her up. He then proceeded to force himself upon his own daughter for nearly a whole day. At some point during these hours, Joshua had attempted to suffocate and strangle Zaria to death, but it seems that these attempts didn't work as intended. It's at this point, after 22 hours of horrific torture, that he used a knife to slice her throat, and the autopsy reports indicate that the cut was extremely deep. Those who worked on this case described it as one of, if not the worst case they had ever seen in their career. One officer said, "The details of this murder are indescribable. Every officer and every detective involved in this case has felt the effects of what happened to this girl. There is no logical answer to explain why this man did what he is accused of doing. Our hearts and prayers are with the victim's mother and her family." People who heard about this case wanted to know why a father would do this to his own daughter. Many just couldn't make any sense of it. People began to look online for clues and answers, any hints as to why Joshua may have done this. His social media profiles were scrutinized. Then someone noted a rather disturbing post on his Facebook. Joshua had posted a photograph, and in this photograph he was showing off a number of large knives, with the caption, "I really like cutting people. Oops, I meant things. I like cutting things." Some people saw this as an eerie foreshadowing of what was to come. Joshua owned a large number of knives, and these knives that are featured in the Facebook posts are believed to be the ones he used to kill his own daughter. People had also looked into what posts Joshua had liked on Facebook, and found that he had liked some pages that were associated with white supremacist organizations, although I couldn't find for myself what these pages actually were. He had, however, shared some very questionable images on his page, and this led to rumours that the motive for the horrific killing could be racial. There was another theory, however. Joshua had also liked some satanic pages, leading some to speculate that Joshua was a part of a satanic cult, and that the murder of his daughter could have been some kind of ritual. Shortly after the murder had taken place, people who knew Zaria spoke out. According to some friends, Zaria had told them that her father had become increasingly more agitated and angry. It had gotten to the point that she had expressed to several friends that she was apprehensive about seeing him on the weekends. Due to Joshua's mugshot image, many noticed that he seemed to be on some kind of illegal substance. Most people believed he had been taking meth, and that this could have led to his aggression and also led to the murder. It wouldn't be the first time that such a substance was linked to a horrific crime. However, I couldn't find anything to suggest that he was intoxicated at the time of the murder taking place. As for the motive behind the killing, Joshua gave a number of reasons, and changed his reasons multiple times. He told the police that he had killed his daughter as a means of getting back at his ex, Zaria's mother. He stated that he wanted revenge. Revenge for what exactly isn't clear, perhaps for the relationship breaking down. Then he changed his motive, telling the police that he struggled with lust and control. Essentially, he lusted for his own daughter and couldn't control himself any longer. The trial would begin in 2022, but from what I can tell, details seem to have been suppressed for the time being. According to those who attended the trial and witnessed the court case, Joshua told the police that he was totally in love with Zaria and had become jealous that she was getting older and would likely begin a relationship with someone and have less time for him. He didn't want anybody else to have her, so he killed Zaria and essayed her multiple times that night. According to the people who attended the trial, Joshua had planned the entire murder and took great delight in killing her. He said it was the best 22 hours of his life. Footage was shown of Joshua entering the court and giving a little smile to someone in attendance, which was rather chilling to see. After a few weeks, Joshua was found guilty of the murder of Zaria. The attorney's office said, "This was truly an especially heinous, atrocious, and cruel killing of an innocent girl. This case was emotionally taxing for everyone involved, and we continue to grieve and pray for Zaria's mother." Due to the horrific nature of the case, many hoped that Joshua would be given the death penalty. However, a jury must unanimously vote in favour of the death penalty, otherwise the defendant will be sentenced to life in prison. The jury deliberated for approximately 3 hours before handing down the punishment. Joshua was given the death sentence. Due to some of the secrecy surrounding this case, there is much speculation about the specific details. Some have said that much of the murder was videotaped by Joshua. However, I couldn't find anything concrete on this. This, along with the fact that Joshua had some interest with Satanism and the occult, led some to believe that he was part of a depraved cult and had filmed the murder in order to upload it and send it among the group. This case seems to be filled to the brim with speculation, so take what you see online with a pinch of salt. A relative of Zaria said, "She was so young and nobody deserves to leave this world like that, especially by someone they thought was going to protect and be there for them." It is always incredibly eerie to see a killer's social media after they have committed their crimes. But the fact that the victim in this case is his very own daughter, who was featured multiple times, makes this case beyond disturbing. Joshua's Facebook is still up on the site, and it can be found, with many people commenting on the images, calling Joshua evil and asking the question, why and how could you do this?